it, how long have we been doing this show?
The Wrestling Life.
Hey everybody, it's the Wrestling Life. It's episode 409. We are in the middle of May of 2025. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Liam.
Liam, we have so much to talk about.
And as always, so many things we cannot talk about on this still the first and only wrestling podcast.
It's a good thing no one has ripped off the idea to do a wrestling podcast yet.
So say
Well, we have WWE. Yes, we have WWE Backlash to talk about. We have Raw. We have WWE's building to both Saturday night's main event and Money in the Bank at the same time. So the booking's a little chaotic. CM Punk might be doing a Saudi Arabia show. Sabu passed away. Jim Ross has cancer. AEW Dynamite Beach Break and Collision Beach Breaker this week, and they're building to their Double or Nothing pay-per-view next weekend. I guess we can run through Backlash. This feels like ancient history now, but last weekend's Backlash show, historically significant because we saw John Cena and Randy Orton for the last time, at least for the last time until Saturday night's main event. Although that may end up being John Cena and R-Truth. I don't know. John Cena beat Randy Orton in a Smoke and Mirrors classic in the main event of this program. My expectations for this were below the floor, and so my expectations were exceeded. What did you think of the main event of Backlash?
Well, there certainly were a lot of ref bumps and finishers, weren't there?
Absolutely.
um, yeah, I didn't hate it. I went in with the energy that I wanted to hate it, and I thought it was fine. It was as you said, a smoke and mirrors, which is that's what you need to do for John now, and maybe for Randy too. Um, he, if they just tried to have a straight wrestling match, it would not have been better. So the fact that you did the Jeff Jarrett TNA Gaga ref bump, finisher kick out thing for like 25 minutes, fine. Crowd was rocking for it. There was like a moment or two where I think they genuinely thought Randy Orton was going to win the WWE title from John Cena at Backlash, which is funny to think about. So they did a good job, and they dressed it up. They did basically, if there's any memorable spots in any of John and Randy's matches, they did it again in this one, with the exception of him hanging him over the steel post with handcuffs and beating him with a kendo stick. They didn't do that, but doing each other's moves, Randy reversing the attitude adjustment into the RKO, like seen it all, seen every variation. Cena going for the big shoulder block and Orton catching him in the RKO. Seen every version of that. But that's what it was. They played the hits. This was it was the Ocean's 13 of wrestling matches, I think. It wasn't particularly good, but the guys involved seemed to have a fun time doing it, and it wasn't terrible to watch. So that's where I would leave my thoughts.
I can't top it, so I'm not gonna try. My God, the Ocean's 13 of wrestling matches is just sublime. That that scratches an itch I didn't know needed to be scratched. Oh man, that's so terrific. I will say, as an aside, Ocean's 12, a tremendous movie, probably better than Ocean's 11, and I legitimately got emotional at the end of Ocean's 12.
That's beautiful. It has been a long time. I know I've seen Ocean's 12. I've seen 11 a bunch because that was the one that was always playing on cable in the 2000s
Sure.
and 2010s. But
Sure.
I don't feel like I don't have 12 like saved in my repertoire, so maybe I need to revisit that one.
I will couch that with it's been 20 years since I saw it, and I only saw it once. So if someone were to tell me today, actually you were insane and you were just a very young stupid man, I would believe them. If someone were to tell me Ocean's 12 actually sucks, I'd be like, oh, okay, I guess I was wrong 20 years ago. That's okay. Anyway, why don't we do a podcast about all this other stuff? Ins- Instead of about Gunther beating Pat McAfee. As you pointed out, Pat McAfee really the focus of WWE now.
I don't I guess this is just what it is. It's the show is about influencers and YouTubers and rappers and former athletes and anybody else that wants to just show up and I guess that's is that the justification because his he's a big social media presence and he has a popular ESPN show. I don't know what any of this was about. He lasted like 15 minutes against Gunther and then did not do a stretcher job. Didn't even like stay down for the duration of the show. He was back on his feet like before they moved on to the next match, and just came out on Raw and called the show. They did make a song and dance of him getting quote unquote checked out by medical before he could be cleared to talk, I guess. But yeah, then he was just the commentator on Raw Monday. So I don't know what any of this. And Michael Cole's just talking about how brave and strong his buddy Pat is the whole time. And it's just Michael Cole and Pat McAfee are the stars of Monday Night Raw currently. I did like when they did the Warrior Rick Rude WrestleMania 5 finish tease. That actually got me. I thought for a second Pat McAfee was going to pin Gunther. The match itself was whatever. It was mostly Gunther beating up Pat, but again, at a certain point, it took so long that it was making Gunther look bad, like for not being able to put the guy away. So I don't know what any of this was about.
Yeah, it feels like and like look, Pat McAfee just by sheer force of will is I guess probably the biggest star they have, except for John Cena and maybe Cody Rhodes and maybe Roman Reigns. But Pat McAfee, like mainstream Q rating, is probably the biggest star working there. But also, like, not that many people watch this show on ESPN every day. They just hired ESPN is going to have their own streaming service launch later this summer, and they've hired Rich Eisen back to do his show on the streaming service, which is also airs at the same time as McAfee show does on ESPN proper. So that's kind of an interesting. Huh. All right, Pat. Pat, you keep running your mouth. We'll just get the very safe Rich Eisen to take your spot. I don't know. I don't. This angle. There's a lot of reasons why it works. It always, almost always works. The announcer, the babyface announcer, is forced to come out of the booth and wrestle, and that's fine. I don't know why this one at this time, if as you pointed out, it wasn't to write Pat off for the summer or for the next 6 months. It just it didn't make, I don't know, man. And Gunther's challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship on the Raw after Money in the Bank. Not at Saturday night's main event, not at Money in the Bank, the Raw after Money in the Bank. Okay,
Right.
whatever. I don't know what we're doing anymore.
Jay's defending the belt before then, but Gunther will be uh wrestling for, I guess, the winner of that match sometime in the future.
Yeah, June 9th, the big day that just announce it for Money in the Bank. God, I don't know. Dominic Mysterio kept the Intercontinental Championship over Penta. Not a whole lot to say about this.
The
Do you
Judgment
do you have
Day
anything to
almost
add?
the Judgment Day almost breaks up storyline will continue until morale improves.
I mean, since the Judgment Day's inception, in one way or another, someone has been almost about to break up with someone in the Judgment Day the whole time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. Because I mean, yeah, if you go back to, I mean, Edge was only in the group for like 3 weeks before they before they wrote him out of it, and then yeah, since then it was Priest and Finn forever, and then now it's been Finn and Dom for like a year. So I don't, I don't know, man. It's uh, yeah, removing they've also now like Liv is off filming a movie and Rhea's not doing anything with them anymore, so it's just them being geeks in the mid card, and it's just they're, I mean, which probably the natural landing spot for Finn Balor at this point in his career, but like yeah, it's just it doesn't, it's so beyond stale to me that these guys that they're still teasing the breakup, like just do it or don't. You don't have to break them up. Other than that, that seems to be the only other idea that they ever have once they put a group together is when can we start breaking them up or teasing breaking them up. So yeah, I don't know. It's not particularly compelling.
That it isn't. Triple H put Evolution together. It was his idea to do a Four Horseman group in WWE
Mm-hmm.
because Vince McMahon, of course, wasn't watching WCW and so didn't really know about the Four Horsemen. Uh, so, so Hunter puts together the Evolution group because it was his baby and his father-in-law was the booker. Um, they did it well. They did it right. The heel the modern day Horseman group kind of ran roughshod over the company for about 2 years. The guys that they broke off from that group went on to become the biggest non John Cena stars they had for the next decade,
Mm-hmm.
Batista and Randy Orton. Um, why are all of Triple H's faction ideas in 2025 seemingly based on races of people who are the same
Mm-hmm.
races one another, getting together and or uh, constantly teasing breakups when someone a group just needs to go on a run here for a couple of years and then you can start breaking people off. Like, how do you not understand this, dude?
Right. You'd think he of all people would at least understand that yes, you have to have them be dominant and together for a while for it to make that way people will care when you start teasing, a change as opposed to just constantly teasing the change and never delivering it. It's just I don't I don't know. Like by the time, I mean, and at this point, it felt like the plan was maybe that Finn was going to turn on Dom, but now it's like I think the crowd's ready to cheer Dom, so I think you got to reverse course on that. But whenever you do finally pull the trigger, but yeah, in the meantime, I, it's just the same thing. It's them giving each other little looks and then them trying to sabotage the other's match but not get caught doing it, and it's just cycle and repeat.
the the Shield, it's a miracle that they did the Shield pretty much right. I mean, they did screw that up at different points. Like they would get mad at one of the three for some reason, and they'd beat them on TV after they'd gone undefeated for a year or whatever. Like the Rhodes brothers beat them once, and then like that led to a period where like CM Punk was beating them 1-on-3 or 1-on-2, and whatever. But largely, they did the Shield well. for a 2 or 3 year run, and then they broke Rollins off. Whether they should have or not, again, doesn't matter. All those three guys in that group were protected, and two are the two have been the biggest non John Cena stars in the company for the last decade, and the other is the world champion of the other promotion. Like what?
Yeah.
Ugh. Ugh. All right. Lyra Valkyria beat Becky Lynch. I must confess that I missed this. Do you have any thoughts on my Irish queens fighting one another?
Really good match. I thought it was, I think, almost inarguably the best like bell to bell thing on the show. Also a really good job by both of them because the crowd was pretty split when the match started and they were fully behind Lyra by the end.
Wow.
So I thought Becky did a good job being despicable and Lyra did a good job generating, selling and generating sympathy for herself, and people were really into it by the time she was coming back. I do always, and this is the old refrain, and this is not a exclusive to WWE problem, but when you do the finish where the bigger star slips on a banana peel and loses, gets rolled up and pinned in this case, and then immediately beats the lesser star's ass for 10 minutes straight, and nobody comes out to make the save. It leaves you thinking, well, why didn't Becky just win then? Because Lyra certainly, it didn't feel like got a lot out of that finish being what it was. So other than they don't want to give Becky the European Championship. So I guess that's why she didn't win. But then it's like, well, just do a DQ or something, because it would have been, for what you did. It didn't end up. I don't think it ended up helping Lyra. Like I said, within the match itself, people got behind her. But when the match was over, everything is about what's Becky gonna do next. None of it was about Lyra, the fighting champion who retained her belt. So uh yeah, questionable why you wouldn't just have Becky win if you were gonna go that far and make it that one-sided in the post match.
Are are bookers just so afraid of getting booed that they won't book a count out finish in a situation like this calls for a count out.
Yeah.
This calls for Becky beating Lyra on the outside or handcuffing her to a table or whatever. Doing something nefarious where the babyface can say it did dozens of count out losses during his undefeated run from 84 to 88. It's
Mm-hmm.
how they would get through the house show program. The first match, he would lose by count out all the time. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, uh,
I think it's that thing where
I wish,
sorry, yeah, they trained their audience to think of DQs and countouts as, for lack of a better term, bullshit, like a thing you did because you
right,
didn't want to book the right finish, or you couldn't come up
right.
with an idea. So it's like now when it is actually a good time to do a DQ or a count out, and it would make sense, they don't want to do it because, yes, exactly what you said. They're afraid that the crowd's going to turn on it, and the heat's going to be on the company for booking a DQ or a count out and not on the heel.
Yeah. I mean, I see that. I understand that. It's, I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe this should have been on this week's Raw.
Yeah.
Then, especially if you don't want to get screwy finishes on pay-per-view, okay, cool. I applaud that. But then Lyra should have lost this by count out on on this week's Raw then. So
Mm-hmm.
our power too. I don't know. Anyway. And then Jacob Fatu kept the United States title in a four-way to kick off this show. I also did not see this. I imagine it's pretty standard four-way with a combination of good to great workers and Damian Priest.
You would be correct. It was fine. The crowd was super hot for everybody, and they did one kind of crazy stunt bump where Priest gave Drew the South of Heaven through some tables out in the crowd. And then the big news was that like 6 months after everyone knew he was going to show up, Jeff Cobb showed up finally. Um, I guess the
Right.
Samoan Tongan dynasty now includes Hawaiians as well.
Sure, why not? Wait a minute, he's from Guam.
Oh,
Guam?
Guam. Yeah, that's right. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe so yeah, I don't know how they tie that into the bloodline, but it seemed the implications based on the cinema looks that everyone was giving each other was that Solo brought him in without telling Fatu. So
Sure.
more Timu bloodline uh drama as SmackDown rolls on.
Yeah. Saturday night's main event has Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso, defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Logan Paul, and then Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker teaming against CM Punk and Sami Zayn. Um, the Punker and Sami Zayn teaming. Do you think these guys? I just like to be in the room when they're discussing their match.
Yeah, well, it's almost like it's like a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing of like, well, the Bucks are great friends with Kevin, and Kevin's great friends with Sammy. I don't know if Sammy and the Bucks are close, but seems like Generico slash Sammy would not be a guy that would get along with Punk in certain eras of Punk's life, but maybe that's changed now. I don't know. uh,
Well, there's a lot to modern day CM Punk, including I guess somebody asked him about, hey, would you go to Saudi Arabia or what do you think of Saudi Arabia or something on an Instagram uh live thing he did, and he just responded I've never been there, and he's in the advertising for the next Saudi show, so it appears to be happening, and I don't know. What do you think?
Listen, uh, the only reason I think this is really worth talking about because the headline being a professional wrestler is a liar and a hypocrite is not particularly newsworthy, except for the fact that it's the only guy. Most wrestlers just live their lives and don't care that they're liars and hypocrites. CM Punk clearly does, which I think is why it's like because we know he reads every bit of online chatter. That's the thing that makes this more fun for me. It's like he's going to be inundated with a screenshot of him telling Mike Mizanin in 2018 to go suck a blood money covered male member.
Appendage.
Yeah. So for the rest of his life, if he does this show. So just strap in. Maybe we'll get some interesting Instagram stories about it when if and when the day finally comes.
It's just exhausting. every, every bit of it is exhausting. Right. So Saturday night's main event, we got that. We got Phil doing a Saudi show. Sabu passed away. A lot of cool tributes to Sabu this week, plus whatever Joey Janela and GCW owner Brett Lauderdale were yammering on about on X the Everything app about how they look, don't print in the newspaper that they're mad. They're not mad, but they did not give him Sabu an over-the-counter supplement an hour before he wrestled his retirement match last month. Someone on Sabu's team gave him a shady over-the-counter gas station supplement to get him to be able to go into the ring because he couldn't walk 2 hours before the match. I don't know. I don't want to give the GCW stuff a lot of attention because I don't think it deserves it, but not that those guys aren't idiots because they are. And they just decided to keep posting through it.
That's the that's the thing,
uh
I think.
yeah. Like this guy passed away a month after or 3 weeks after his last match, he'd done like streams or signings or appearances since then where he was up and walking around. It's like it's not like, oh, that retirement match put him in the hospital
Right.
for right for the last 3 weeks of his life or whatever. It's like Sabu died. Not surprising that a 60-year-old man who's lived as hard a life as Sabu did would pass, but then all these wrestling scummy guys had to get involved and say, "Look, it's not our fault." It's like no one said it was your fault. Anyway, Sabu very influential, big star of the mid '90s, kind of the underground indie star of the '90s. He would get a look into WWF dark match. He would get a look from WCW. He was in WCW for a short time. He ultimately stayed with ECW, maybe because that's the only promotion at the time where he could live the Sabu lifestyle and work. And apparently, Paulie allegedly or may not have screwed him out of a WCW contract in like '99.
What?
Um,
Good
yeah,
businessman and up gentleman Paul Heyman screwing somebody over. That doesn't sound right.
right. But anyway, Sabu, you can't watch a show without where someone botches something where you're like, oh, that was a Sabu spot.
Mhm.
You have to be an incredible artist and a genius to think of some of the stuff that Sabu thought of and did.
Yeah.
And yet his execution on the ideas that he thought of was about 41%.
Yeah.
That's which I say complimentary. It was part of his charm. Anyway, I thought your thoughts on the passing of ECW legend Sabu.
Yeah, I mean, that's, and again, in a complimentary way, what a lunatic. Like what an insane person. And yeah, I think the day he passed, I went and watched the his match with Taz from Barely Legal '97, which is the same show where Terry Funk wins the world title. And it is interesting going back. It's hard. We talked about this off the air to go back to ECW shows as they exist on Peacock now because so much of that was, I mean, one, it's just place and time, but then two, it was a lot of licensed music and other things that have to be cut out of the modern versions of these shows.
Right.
So it's hard to exactly feel like you're getting the full experience, but yeah, you could just tell like there's something to like what you said, just like he had such a creative mind, and between him and Rob Van Dam, like what the hold that those two guys styles had on the following generation of wrestlers is pretty staggering, both in like hardcore stuff and in crazy athletic stuff. I mean, every week on Dynamite, Mark Briscoe puts a chair in the ring and does a tope out of the ring off of it. Like that's a Sabu spot. Like there's stuff every week that you still see that's that's Sabu's stuff or stuff that he inspired. So yeah, I mean it's a crazy loss. And again, I think it's one of those things where because he had done so many crazy things and because he had lived such a, by his own admission, hard drug and alcohol fueled life. He feels like one of those guys who was just never gonna die, kind of like a Jake Roberts type. I thought maybe so. It still kind of was surprising to me. I think when I heard the news, but yeah, I mean, a very consequential figure in wrestling, and not someone you can tell the story of the 90s and early 2000s of wrestling and what it became without. You can't tell that story without him. So yeah, RIP to him. And yeah, between WWE did a nice little tribute for him, and then maybe we can use this as our transition. Taz, they gave Taz like a minute to just kind of pour his heart out on Dynamite this week, which was very beautiful. I don't like seeing Taz cry. It made me very emotional, but it was a nice moment for him to honor his friend. So yeah, what a legacy a guy left that guy left behind.
Yeah, the Taz thing was great. Uh, Taz speaking about it. I'm so glad he took the sunglasses off, even though he just kind of looks like a regular guy when he takes the
Yeah.
sunglasses off. It's absolutely one of the wrestlers who wear sunglasses and should wear sunglasses because there's a fair amount of guys. I always think of the Regal line about how Regal used to give advice to up and coming wrestlers, and he would always say, "Don't wear sunglasses indoors." I know Dwayne Johnson did. You're not Dwayne Johnson. uh, but Taz absolutely should wear sunglasses indoors. It's a big part of the gimmick. But yeah, I thought that was great. Dynamite. We had Collision Beach Break. They did not overload the show. That's a compliment. And they saved quite a bit for Collision, which they were taping the same night. So that's gonna I forgot I was going to sandwich compliment them, but now I put two good things in a row and now I'm gonna say something bad. Um this show ended in pure chaos in the arena where it's unclear how many teams there are. There's enough guys, extremely Jim Ross voice, and girls to do like three different teams, I think. There's the team, there's the Gabe Kid um, Death Riders team, there's Swerve's team. I, I'm not sure how this all breaks down, but this show ended in pure chaos and not in like a fun WCW Nitro Brawl chaos. Just chaos. I have no idea what's going on. But just what'd you think of Dynamite Beach Break this week?
Super, yeah, super easy, fun to watch show for the most part as far as the wrestling goes. They've already got, I mean, they've got their cornerstone match of this show has been for a while now set as Osprey and Hangman in the finals of the Owen. You've got they paid off the gimmick of Tony just wrestling more and more people for her title and waiting for someone to finally beat her. They had Mina Shirakawa re-debut with a song which they immediately reverted back to her old song mid-match, which is hilarious. Um, because people didn't like it. And so they've set that up. And then yeah, you peppered in some Mercedes and Jamie Hayter stuff as well. So like I thought they hit everything that was already set up pretty well. They kept the fire burning on that. The MJF Hurt Syndicate stuff is going to have some kind of payoff, I guess, next week because they're doing a contract signing for him to join it. So, and then yeah, the main event they did a cage match. To Moxley's credit, as much as that is the meme, he has not bled in a match in a really long time per John Moxley standards. So
Sure.
him and Joe both juicing for the main event, I thought was good. It felt they tried. They're both old men. But I thought they tried their best to have like a gritty, old school grudge match in there until, of course, the finish, which has to involve interference, even though theoretically the point of a cage match should be to not have interference. But that's just not how wrestling works anymore. So, yeah, I took it as it's some combination of Death Riders, Gabe Kid, and the Elite, and all on one team, and then Swerve and Willow and the Ops, and maybe Speedball on the other team. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys running around. So, but I think it's just going to be like 10 people on each team fighting each other. So we'll see. My one request if they do this is based off of him giving her a Death Rider. I think Willow should get to power bomb Mox through a table on this on when they do that. That when they do that match, however it shakes out.
Moxley needs to I would, as I told you off the air earlier this week, I would like John to go away for 3 months. For the first month, I wanted to do nothing but relax and heal his mind and body. The second month, I'd like him to just watch a bunch of different stuff, watch old movies, watch old wrestling, watch his favorite things, come up with some new creative ideas. And for the third month, I don't really know what I want him to do for the third month, but it's imperative that he stays away for 3 months because he's so creatively. As you pointed out last week, he is at least is a heel who has started to beg off rather than for the first 9 months of this character where he was a heel who just beat everyone's ass,
Yeah.
um, and then talked about how hard and tough he is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would just like him to get a fresh idea and I have Death Riders fatigue. I'm just I'm just tired of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the prayer, and this is still means another two plus months of it, unfortunately, is that either whoever wins the Osprey Hangman final, I think most people think it's Osprey. Uh, whoever wins that is going to be the one who beats Moxley at All In for the title, and then you would have an opportunity to write Moxley out for a while. But that's still a long ways away. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I the silver lining is yes that he is selling more in the sense that he runs away and gets beaten up a bit more often now than he was when the single first started. But yeah, and this is also a thing, and this is another thing that it's not exclusively a problem to AEW. This is an all wrestling thing. It's like we have to do Anarchy in the Arena because it's May, because we do it at Double or Nothing every year, which is a bad reason to book a stipulation. Like how you shouldn't just do War
Yes.
Games because it's November.
Right.
Like everybody does this. I don't know why. It's like when TNA had that all cage match pay per view, and that's always when they would do their War Games. It's like, no, you should do it when it's time to do it, not not just because it's May and we always do it in May. But that ship has sailed, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. I think we'll do this, and then I assume because then they always do their war games. Speaking of which, in June. So I assume whatever they'll have some kind of whoever wins in May, the other team will win in June to when they do Blood and Guts. So that I assume that will be what they start building past the show. I think that's the only thing I would say. While I think that I don't have a problem with the individual builds to a lot of their matches here, it does already feel like maybe it's by virtue of the Owen tournament going on, but like we're already looking past this show, even though it should be like at worst their second biggest show of the year, probably. So
Right.
like it doesn't feel maybe as important as it should because we already know after Anarchy is going to be Blood and Guts, and after that's going to be All In, and then 2 weeks after that is All Out. So it's like we're already thinking about what's going to be happening in 2 months, and so it's like okay, this should be like your SummerSlam or your Royal Rumble type show, like your number two some big time payoffs on this show, and instead it's kind of a setup show instead.
Yep. Wanted to mention someone I've talked an immense amount of about in real life. Jim Ross announced this week that he has colon cancer, and 73-year-old with colon cancer is not a good thing. He's going to undergo surgery, so best wishes to someone that I've talked an immense amount of shit about, Jim Ross.
Yeah, I mean, no critique of his ability as a wrestling commentator in 2025. I don't think it implied that we wished him physical harm. So,
Sure.
yeah, best wishes to him, and like I hope I'm not. I'm. This is gonna sound like I'm trying to pawn him off on another wrestling company, because they would use him less and differently. But like I kind of would like to see JR get back to WWE and get like a I know he's already in the Hall of Fame, so I don't know what you do with him if WWE gets him back, but like to, get a little retirement tour going, or have him call his last match, and maybe I don't know what that would be, but it's like I feel like he probably is a guy who should go back before it's all said and done, because well, the chances of someone mocking his Bell's palsy when he gets back is at least less now that Vince isn't in charge. So although
That is true.
by the end of the year, who knows who will be who will be calling the shots.
That is also true. All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that's about it. New Japan's doing best of the Super Juniors, and there's some AEW guys in there, but kind of a month off for them before they build up for Dominion in June. So,
Bingo. Yeah. All right, everybody. Till next time, I'm Ethan.
and I'm Liam.
We'll be back soon with more stories from the wrestling life.
Adios.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Now, here are this week's bonus features.
A tradition unlike any other.
Jim's still doing
I'll
the
just be doing
Masters?
today's show. Yeah, he's still doing everything except college basketball. He bowed out of the Final Four.
Glad he stuck around. Like we've lost. It's like he's kind of Bob Costas now, right? Now that Bob Costas is in semi-retirement.
I suppose, yeah.
Or I guess maybe the more, I don't know, is Al Michaels more famous for being the every sports guy than Bob Costas? Probably depends on your age, right?
Has to be. I mean, Al's only done football and a little bit of Olympic studio stuff pretty much my whole life. But
Right.
there was a decade or two before where he did stuff. So I guess he did some baseball in my lifetime, but not really.
Right.
There's also a very brief 2 or 3 year period when ABC got the NBA away from NBC, where Al did in the early aughts, where Al did the NBA.
Oh, see, that would be interesting because I don't feel like I can imagine. I can imagine Al calling a baseball game. I can't quite, like, in my mind's eye, hear or see uh Al calling basketball. So that's fascinating to me.
It was kind of bizarro world year anyway, or years when like the Lakers were trying to maintain their dynasty and sign like Gary Payton and Karl Malone when they were way past their primes.
Mhm.
They had like the 1996 Western Conference All-Star team in 2004 or whatever.
Karl
Yeah, it
Malone's
didn't go very well.
stint as a Laker, not memorable except for the fact that it made it into an episode of Static Shock due to some Warner Brothers cross brand partnership, because that year was when they were getting onto the Turner networks for the first time. So
Huh.
they do an episode where a bunch of real life basketball players are secretly the Power Rangers, basically.
Hmm. Synergy. We love to see it. Well, what else is going on?
Nothing really. Gonna go see Sinners this weekend.
All right. Enjoy.
Yeah, I've heard this is one you want to see on the magic of the silver screen. So I'm it's a rare full price theater experience for me.
Okay. Sure. All right. Well, to the just a message to the Firebrand and Hyde crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, what would you have him do with the ingredients that he's been given?
Yeah, I don't. He's not the hitting coach, or the pitching coach, nor
Or
did
the pitching staff?
right, nor did he assemble the team he was given. He's not a manager slash GM.
No.
Um, so yeah, I don't see that there's any. I feel like that's almost what he keeps saying, and he's like, I don't know how this keeps happening, like because the Orioles are a bad team this year, and on paper they should have been like maybe a mediocre team, but not a bad team. So like injuries obviously being a part of that, but it's also just like I think I think the baseball gods just hate the Orioles this year, and the injury bug certainly does. So I don't know what Hyde could be doing.
We need to thank President Trump also for defeating woke and making the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue hot again. Congratulations to 58-year-old Salma Hayek for making this year's Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. I don't understand it. Salma Hayek has been hot since I was a child, and when I'm dead and buried 30 years from now, Salma Hayek will somehow be 88 and still hot. So, congratulations to her.
I mean, yeah. So say we all. What a Hall of Famer through and through.
Well, we've done it again.
Once again, I feel I've said too much.
Indeed.
I try to keep on keeping on.